Right. Well, thanks so much for taking some time today to invest in learning about how you can apply AI into your day-to-day. My name is Rod Cherkas. I am a consultant and advisor that works with fast-growing companies to help them improve their post-sale operations. Before that, before I started my consulting business almost 5 years ago, I was a post-sale executive. I've been a CCO. I've worked at companies like Gainsight, Marketo, RingCentral, and Intuit. And one of my favorite things of working with clients over the past couple of years has been helping them think through how they can not only improve retention, drive expansion, improve their operational efficiency, but also find ways to leverage AI in ways that help them improve their outcomes in their businesses. So I wanted to take some time and share one particular example that I've used with my clients to help them improve how they can actually do their work, how they can think strategically. We're going to talk about how you can use ChatGPT's relatively new capability called deep research to help you and your teams be more strategic, save a huge amount of time, and come across as very valuable to your customers. You may see one of my colleagues, Casbald, join us in this as she helps me moderate this discussion. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for attending, and let's get going. So I wanted to flash back to an activity. I spoke at the Gainsight conference in late May about a framework that I had introduced in my book called Reach. Reach is an expansion methodology that helps post-sale teams, customer success teams, account management teams in particular, identify expansion opportunities within your customer base. And it introduces a methodology to help do that more efficiently. So we had a great attendance, and I explained how you can do that, to how you can apply reach to help identify customers with high growth potential, help prioritize them among your customer base, help nurture them. And it was a very effective, very fun conversation that we had at Gainsight Pulse. And a VP of customer success came up to me afterwards, say, "Hey, Rod, can you leverage AI to help do this, to help uncover expansion opportunities within your customer base?" And at this point, kind of a light bulb went off between things that I've been working on with clients and what a lot of folks in the industry would like to be able to do, which is hear about how they can use AI to improve their ability to get better results from their businesses. And so that was what really stimulated this idea for this webinar. Over the last couple of years, I've been both working with clients on how they can apply AI into their businesses, and I've also been organizing regular working groups with post-sale leaders to help talk about very practical ways that they can use AI in their day-to-day. So the question you might be thinking about is like, is this the time to start doing this? It seems like a lot of hype, seems very technical. Like, why should I care now? Well, the reason that you should care now is that your executives are looking for you to find ways to not only improve results, but to do it increasingly efficiently. And as many of you probably go into the planning process over the next couple of months, it may be likely that you'll run into challenges getting additional resources. There might be expectations that not only can you improve your business results, but you also need to do it with either the same or even potentially less headcount. So you're going to be looking at ways you can leverage automation and AI. And so it's important that you learn these types of skills and apply them in your day to day so that you can stay relevant, so that you can be a leader and help drive it so that you can be driving this in your organizations rather than having this come late. So that's why we're here today. I want to give you one particular example, one of many that I work with my clients on to help apply AI in your day to day in a way that is super productive. So what we're going to talk about today is we'll quickly go through a framework that I've created called the AI Power Framework that is for post-sale teams, and it goes through a variety of different ways that you can leverage AI in your business. Then we're going to go through an example that you'll be able to use. We're recording this. It'll be on, you'll get a copy of not only the recording, but a copy of the prompts that we're using that you can customize for your business. I made it easy. It'll be a Word document that's both attached to the email that you'll get sent after this webinar, and it'll also be available on YouTube in the show notes. So we're going to talk about how you can apply deep research to better understand your customers and be prepared for strategic decisions for you and your teams. And we're going to go through a real world example using, I worked at Marketo for many years, so I always love to talk about Marketo. It's a marketing automation software, and most people can kind of understand how you can use marketing and marketing automation to communicate. And the customer that we'll talk about is PayPal. So we're going to go through an actual example with that. We'll talk a little bit about how your teams can get started, and then we'll have time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to interact with each other through the chat. And if you have questions that you'd like to get answered, there's a Q&A link at the bottom of your Zoom screen here. So please feel free to do that. So I'd love to do a poll first to get a sense of where everybody is. So Cass, if you can pop up the poll, and the question will be, how strategically are you using AI in your daily work? And the example, if you can choose, we'll take a minute to let everybody answer how actively you're using AI strategically in your day-to-day work. So I see them coming in, kind of racing through. It looks like most of you, almost half of you, are, I use AI regularly for tasks like writing, research, and analysis, but not yet for strategy. Well, hopefully by the end of this, you'll have at least one example that you can use to help show how you're applying it for strategy. So it looks like everybody, we've started to slow down. So we'll end the poll here, and let's share the results. So it looks like what we see is about half of the folks here in attendance are using AI regularly for tasks like writing, research, or analysis, but not yet for strategy, which is amazing. It looks like you're looking for ways to make your lives increasingly efficient. About a quarter are actively using AI to support those strategic discussions and your planning and your high impact decisions. I love that. Keep that up. This is so important that all of us can find ways to use AI that way. And then others of you, about another 20%, have experimented but still figuring it out. So thanks for investing the time today to help identify some ways that you can apply it. All right, so let's keep going. So one of the challenges you may feel as in your post-sale teams or as a post-sale executive is that there's a lot of competing pressures of what's going on. You're being expected to contribute to top-line growth so that you need to increase that net retention rate, your combination of expansion, and that was a lot of the theory behind the reach framework is coming up with ways that you can drive expansion, and you'll see how you can leverage that using deep research today. For many companies, retention is getting increasingly difficult. It's slipping in some cases as people are looking for ways to maybe fund their AI initiatives at their companies, or they just need to improve productivity as revenues are getting a little bit tighter, people being a little bit more reluctant to buy new software and new products. And then AI is coming. It's definitely becoming more mainstream. There are solutions that companies are selling that are increasing productivity. And a lot of times we don't know where to start. So our companies may be building AI into our own products, but we're also being asked to find ways to leverage AI and automations in our own business. And so my mindset with my clients and in these working sessions I've been moderating has always been that AI is going to augment the work that we do, that it's not a replacement, but it'll help us be more efficient. So I want you thinking about that as we go through our discussion today. So as I've been working with my clients, and I'd be happy to talk with you and your teams about this afterwards, is that there are a number of different ways that you can be thinking about how to use AI within your post-sale teams. And I put this together into a framework, a little mnemonic that may help you understand and remember, how to do this, because AI is not one thing. So the first, and I call this the AI power framework. And so the P in power comes from personal leadership effectiveness. So this is how you can use AI to improve your strategic thinking, to use as potentially as a thought partner to help you develop your strategies and make decisions. You can even create your own GPT, and I'd be happy to help you and your organizations do this. I have something that I called my Rodbot, where I've uploaded content from my books and my webinars and my transcripts of recordings and my different frameworks. And so I use that as a thought partner. And I actually have clients who use my Rodbot in their day to day. And so it's as if you have, me as a consultant by your side. It answers and writes just like I write and respond how I would respond. And so you can do this for yourself as well, or with your organization, or be happy to find ways to have you be able to use my Rodbot. But anyway, one key thing is how you can improve your personal effectiveness. The second way you can leverage AI is to help improve outcomes. And our discussion today about leveraging deep research to help with expansion is a really great example of this. So you can use deep research as one way to do expansion and retention. You can summarize account histories and identify signals so that you can prepare for renewal discussions. But there's a whole number of different examples of how to use AI to help your business get better results. Third is how you can use it to improve your workflow efficiency for you personally or with your team. An example of this might be how you can auto-generate meeting summaries and follow-up items based on your conversations. It might help you if you're responsible for building out an onboarding workflow. How can you help do that and save time? If you run an education team, might be able to help you come up with scripts and outlines for your videos. There's a ton of different ways that you can do that, but I would categorize that as improving workflow and efficiency. The next is around enablement and skill development. This is how you can help learn yourself about how to do your job or how to get better at the skills you need. This could be onboarding new employees. It could be having a discussion with one of the LLM platforms about an industry area. But anyway, you can use this to help improve your own skills. And lastly, the R stands for relationships and customer engagement, where you can use AI to help build relationships with your customers. So maybe writing emails that are very personalized based on the needs of your customer or the skill set that you have. So anyway, this is a little bit of a framework that I use to help think about different ways that individuals and their teams can apply AI. I'd be happy to work with you and your team to come up with this. So it's important that you are very aware of the insights that are around your customers, and so that you can be very proactive in your business and helping to drive growth. This is one of the key goals that your executive teams have for you and your teams. And these AI-powered insights can be really helpful in helping your team be more strategic and lead to strategic discussions and expansion opportunities. You can use it as a way to help address retention risk. You can help it improve your decision-making process so that you can feel like you're confident about those and you understand the pros and cons. And it also enables you to spot growth opportunities early in your discussions with your customers. So let's move to our deep research example. So this is one of my favorite things. So I was so excited, like many of us were when ChatGPT came out, and was just fascinated by the ability to have a very interactive dialogue with a tool that seemed super personalized and was having conversational discussion. So over many years, the OpenAI and ChatGPT, as well as some of the other LLM services, have been able to come up with new capabilities. And one of the ones that I wanted to highlight today is this deep research, which from the work that I do with my clients can be a really great partner to think about how you grow. Because you don't necessarily get all this information from your customers. You wish that they would summarize for you their business and their challenges and their risks and their competitive environment, but they don't always do that. And so I'm going to show you really quickly how you can leverage this capability to better understand their business needs so that you can come across as more strategic. And you can do this in minutes. And you could also do this in ways that don't involve you as an individual. Somebody else could potentially do this for you and get it to you. Right. So what is deep research in ChatGPT? So the capability is basically it uses the same prompt view, but instead of giving an answer, immediately, it does a whole bunch of research. It looks at different public websites. It looks at news. It looks at financial reports, press releases, a whole bunch of additional sources to almost do what an analyst would do, like an entry-level analyst could do over a period of time to better understand an industry or a company's situation. And I'm going to open up ChatGPT in a minute, but how you would access it is it's available in most of the paid or premium versions of ChatGPT, which is my preference. You may use Claude or Gemini or other things. I've been pretty happy with the ChatGPT product. So I happen to use the paid team version. You're going to go into the drop down. There's a capability that you're probably already using, but you want to know that the browsing is enabled, and then you select deep research under the tools. So I'll show you how this works in a minute. And so this is the scenario that I'd like to go through with you. So I had worked at Marketo years ago, so I always like to use this as an example. Adobe Marketo is a product that helps send marketing communications. It might be used by many of your demand gen organizations to communicate with customers, to nurture them. It's a customer experience and marketing platform. And hopefully everybody's familiar with PayPal, company that helps move money in different ways. So the scenario we're going to go through to apply deep research is that you're the CSM at Marketo, responsible for the relationship with your customer PayPal. And what you're trying to do, and you can apply this to your own business. Obviously, you would customize it to your own product, to the customer that you're doing, but I think you'll get the gist of this prompt sequence that we're going to go through. So what you're trying to do, for example, is prepare for an executive meeting at PayPal. And you want to be able to show that your product and your company is driving value and that you want to come to this meeting prepared with strategic ideas for how you can help them grow and how you can help demonstrate that they should stay with you as a customer. Right. And these might be some examples of what you want deep research to do. Again, when I share the prompt with you and you get this in a Word document, feel free to customize it for your needs, but you'll get the idea about the type of things that you can ask deep research to do in this prompt. So for example, one thing that I wanted to do is to highlight major trends in PayPal's industry that would be relevant for Marketo and other Adobe products to help address. You want it to be able to summarize strategic initiatives that are happening at the company that might be helpful for me as a CSM at Marketo or an account manager at Marketo to know about, potentially upcoming product launches. You want to summarize their key business units. So, you think that PayPal is one big business, and maybe we know how to exchange money through PayPal, but did you know that, you know, Venmo is a subsidiary of PayPal, something called Braintree. They've got into cyber products. So anyway, summarize what those businesses are. You want to extract insights from their recent reports and investor updates, and you'd like a list of upcoming things that are happening in PayPal's world that might be interesting to know, right? So there are three steps we're going to go through, and this is where I want to make sure that it's easy for you to understand this prompt sequence. We often think of a prompt as like ask a short question, get an answer, ask another question. I'm going to share with you this prompt that you can then customize that isn't just like a one question prompt. So you're basically saying, how do I generate this deep research analysis? And then we're going to run this prompt to analyze the customer. And you're going to see we're going to get back a pretty long industry report. It's not like a one page or a short paragraph. It may be 8 to 10 pages or longer. which is great if you have time to read through it. So then the next prompt sequence is, okay, I've now gotten this research analysis. Please summarize it for me. So we're going to ask this deep research, ask the prompt to create a 1 to 2 page executive summary of it. And then the third prompt is based on your analysis and this executive summary, give me some ideas, recommend some particular expansion opportunities based on my products from Marketo and what we now know about PayPal. And what's amazing, as we've probably all seen, is that if you put in the questions and you're really clear, like I work for Adobe Marketo and I'm talking to PayPal, that ChatGPT and these other LLM platforms can actually find information about your company and your products and your customers and their needs. I found this is just like, it is pretty crazy what's available. But when you ask it a good question, you get these pretty amazing answers. All right. So let's get to it. I will be sending this out as a Word document, so you'll have all of this information. But and I'm just going to give you a highlight of what I'm doing. So the prompt I'm going to copy and paste into deep research is basically like create a concise summary document for me as a CSM at Marketo, highlighting insights and opportunities for expanding the sale of our products and services beyond our core product with PayPal. Right? Structure the summary clearly and succinctly, covering the following points, right? I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see them. The idea is I wanted to summarize like industry and market trends, strategic initiatives, their business units. What can be interesting is, are they hiring any leaders in their marketing areas, public statements and messaging, competitors. So you'll see that. All right. So let's jump into ChatGPT. So you'll get a document similar to this. I'm just going to use this as a way to copy and paste my prompt. And then I'm going to go into ChatGPT. As I mentioned, I have the paid version, a team version of ChatGPT. So it keeps everything within my instance secure. Under the drop down, you'll see a link for tools. You're going to click on deep research, and then I'm going to drop in that whole prompt, right? So it asks you what you're researching. I'm going to drop in the prompt, and you'll see that I dropped in the prompt. Please create a concise summary document. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's now usually what happens before it does this research, it takes a long time, is it wants any clarification. So what I often do is I will copy and paste this. I will put this in, and then which Marketo products or solutions, their core, and I'll just answer this so it can start its research, their core marketing automation platform. Are you focused on expansion within a specific business unit? I'm going to say all business units, right? I'm going to say all regions, and there are particular competitors you like me to benchmark with. No, right? And then I'm going to hit enter. And now it will summarize this, right? So we're going to stay here just for a minute so that you can see what starts to process. But this could take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This is not a quick response like we've been used to. So what starts to happen is it's doing this research. It will start to identify sources. It will show what sources it's using, and then it's going to show on the right side of the screen here um, lists of those resources. All right. So maybe we'll wait like another 30 seconds and see if anything starts to pop up. There is a lot of anticipation as you start to see this. You can see the names of the places. And one of the things that I really like about deep research is that it's very specific about the sources that it uses. So it comes across like footnotes that you can refer back to for any more information as you're starting to do this. All right. So we'll come back to this in a minute. For those of you that like cooking shows, we were making some banana bread yesterday. So if I was doing this like a cooking show, I would say, okay, we're going to put this in the oven and let it cook. Oh, well, guess what? Here it is. So I created another tab. This is the output that I got when I did the same prompt yesterday. So let's pretend we waited for a few minutes and it came back with the responses. So this is the response that I got yesterday from the same prompt that was summarizing these expansion opportunities for Adobe Marketo. And as you can see, it brings up the summary of results from the questions that you answered. So it gives you some industry and market trends, right? They're shifting to digital and multi-channel payments, demand for personalization, talks about competition and acquisition costs. So you start to see examples of competitors like Apple Pay, Google Pay, Stripe, Square, Klarna. Talks about some key strategic initiatives, right? Their unified platform, their omni-channel payments, looking for different revenue streams, including ads. And then you can see that it goes through their um, other business units. It talks about their business units, like their core product is called Wallet. They have a processing business called Braintree. They have the Venmo business. They have their credit and pay later. So think about how quickly you're getting this information about this customer, about their different business units, what's important to them. You're going to see an example of how you can use the question about hiring workforce developments, that you can see that they opened a new director of marketing technology role. That may be interesting because you know that there may be as a new leader there, that they've been recruiting senior talent to drive their merchant acquisition business. So anyway, it's basically providing you with all of this interesting information that you asked for. So when you get this copy of the prompts, feel free to edit it for your business and make it work for you. But the idea here is that you can use a longer prompt again and again. You don't need to necessarily do prompts all one at a time, right? So now what you might say is, okay, this is really long. This is great. And there was a place, just by the way, so that you know, you can download this. So there's a place here that you can click and download it as a document, or you also may know you can just copy and paste it into like a Word or a Google Doc. So that's a way to get it out of ChatGPT. So the next thing we might want to do then is go and say, okay, how do I create an executive summary of this, right? So I'm going to take the prompt that I've written to create the executive summary. Now I'm going to drop that into the prompt here as well, right? And I don't think you need to do this as the research, but you can just use this as the regular prompt. But it goes and it now takes this long, if I put this in a Word document, it was about 10 pages yesterday. And it gives you now an executive summary that you could use. Think about how amazing this would be if you woke up in the morning and there was a 2-page executive summary for all of your customers that gives you an overview of their business, as well as ideas about expansion opportunities for them. Or you could have a similar question, as driving expansion also relates to how you create retention opportunities for your business, right? So these are the same things that you would need for that type of discussion. So now you've got this 2-page executive summary that talks about, for example, their strategic initiatives, so you can be more informed. Talks about your business units and what might be important to them. Gives you a summary of all the topics we mentioned, the hiring indicators, best practice insights, some things that might be triggers for expansion, and then some ideas around expansion, right? So you can ask it to create this summary document for you. The third prompt in the sequence that I like to have is now be very specific about expansion opportunities for this company. You could also have the same type of concept for retention, like what are some of their um, key opportunities to drive retention. So I'm going to put that into the prompt. So this is the one that says, be very specific about expansion opportunities. And when I hit enter on that, very quickly, I get a very specific set of ideas for having strategic discussions about how we might be able to expand to provide other Marketo products or other Adobe products to PayPal based on their business needs, right? So there's an example here about their ABM module and predictive content based on their focus on these types of businesses, why Adobe Analytics might be useful to help them, and why that might be important for their business groups, including this business unit Honey, Adobe Target. So in any case, you can also copy and paste this into a Word or Google document. You can export it, right? So I hope you get a sense of the ability, once you have these prompts written, you can use them and apply them into all of your different accounts. And there's also potentially a way that you, if you're a leader here and you have resources that you can leverage, maybe junior people, maybe some contract workers, you could run this across your most important customers. And rather than having each of your team members have to do this, you can have the summaries of these sent into given to your account managers, given to your CSMs or other team members, and done for them. Or maybe it gets put into your customer success platform or your CRM so that it's available for easy use. Let me go back before we go back to the presentation. Let me just go back and I'll show you what's happening. So this is still running. But now it's gone through 16 sources. It's kind of fun on the right-hand side. It starts to summarize some of the takeaways of where it's looking. It looks like it's gone to some McKinsey summary, something from Content Wired, something from MasterCard and Payments Dive. So it's doing some industry research. So anyway, this is still going. It may take a period of time. Let's go back to our presentation, to our slideshow. And as I mentioned, these are just screenshots of the examples. I showed these to you already. And one of the takeaways is you can have it be as comprehensive as you'd like, and sometimes it may be more than you want, so that you can ask it then to summarize, right? So we talked about the prompt to create the executive summary and what the executive summary might looks like, because now you have this overview with specific insights. And the idea here is that how could you automatically have this done? You could do it for yourself, or maybe you have some central resource to do it. Even more interesting is many of us are hearing about this concept of agentic AI. We basically did the concept of agentic AI. We did a workflow. We said first create a research summary of a particular account. Then next create an executive summary of it. And then third, do a summary of specific expansion opportunities. That's basically what agentic AI is. And I would imagine in a year or two, we're going to be able to give instructions to do all of these things and not have to operate it ourselves, right? And then we talked about the prompt to identify the specific expansion opportunities, right? So a quick recap of what we've done. The idea is that we are using ChatGPT's deep research capabilities to gather insights and help turn that into strategic action that we can take with our customers. So think about how in a couple of minutes that it took to run this, you are saving yourself potentially hours of research that maybe you'd never do anyway, even if you were going to do it. And you're trying to first generate that research report, second, summarize it so that you can understand the strategic parts of your customer's business. And third, it highlights recommendations for you with the context to be able to have those as part of your discussions, right? So what you should do next is download the prompt examples from the email I'm going to send you tomorrow. Pick one of your accounts that you can run it on. Tailor the prompt for your business and the customers and run the deep research sequence. And let me know what you think, right? Send me an email, poke me on LinkedIn. And I'd also love it if you'd share your observations on LinkedIn with all of us. What are some of the things that you're able to do to help you run your business better and get these better outcomes.